spider on my chest.
Hey, what is up? I am here with a special guest today. Somebody legendary, somebody amazing. You know.
Oh, so flattering, so flattering.
Man, it's the truth. You know him, you love him. He makes beats that like make me cry because I can't do it. Wendigo!
I'm sorry. That's not my intention.
Yeah, man, it's,
Like,
it's all your fault.
Maybe crying's half the intention, but not because you can't do it. Anyone can do it.
It's
All you have to do if you want to make a Wendigo beat is just like live in the sewer for a while.
That is true.
And you're
Teenage Mutant
good.
Ninja Turtle type shit. Okay.
Yeah, you come out of the sewer, you can just do it. You press one button and it's Wendigo beat, bam.
You know what? I'm gonna try that.
No, like honestly, like people very much like. I think people don't realize that just like walking around and looking at like shit. Like I live in New York City, so it's a perfect place to live for that, where I can just like walk around. I live in like Crown Heights, which is like the hood of New York City. So I can just like wake up and look outside and like there's some guy getting faded on the street for like licking someone else's Yeezys, and I'm like, you know what? That's like 4 beats worth of shit right there of inspiration. Like you just see that and you're like, that's the sound. So like I think people honestly don't just go out and look at shit enough to inspire them. Like people will listen to a lot of other rap or a lot of other beats and they'll try and like replicate shit. People forget that you can just walk outside and, you know, find some weird looking shit and that might inspire a whole project. You never know.
That's true. That is true. I mean, hey, inspiration comes from all types. So if that's what makes you inspiration, you know what I mean? Your hard ass.
Exactly.
That's what's up. I love that. But so I gotta ask, starting that off, you mentioned where you're from. You're from New York.
Yeah.
And we established that you are a producer of some musics.
Indeed.
That's what's up. So I'm pretty sure like everyone want to know, like, you know, what made you decide to. I mean, you have inspirations, but what was that day that made you be like, you know, I want to produce? You know, what inspired
So it was like low key an accident, honestly. Like coming into music. So I've only been producing for like about like a year and a half at this point, but I've been like playing music for almost like 7 years. Been a guitar player, just like in bands and shit, like all throughout high school and middle school. I was just always into like metal and punk. And I got to like the age of like, I'm gonna say 17, and I had a friend of mine like get me a mic for my birthday. So I was just like fucking around. I downloaded like a trial version of Pro Tools, and I was trying to record my guitar. I don't know if you know this song. It's called Ramona Park Part 1 by Vince Staples.
Mm-hmm. I think I heard
it's like the intro off his Summertime '06 album. It's just like this weird like little guitar loop with a bunch of like weird drums, and then just a gunshot happens and it ends. And I remember like I was sitting in my room like when that album had come out, and I heard that song and I was like, yeah, you know, I could like play a guitar loop and maybe like figure out how to add some like weird drums and maybe like make some weird little guitar project, you know, just like inspired by that. So I tried it. And if you know anything about Pro Tools, it's a piece of shit for making beats. Like, it is the worst software to just, like, try and make something from scratch. And it's really, like, meant for just recording vocals and other instruments and, like, compiling it and arranging it as opposed to, like, coming up with a fresh thing off the bat. So I spent, like, a month trying to understand how Pro Tools works, and I just failed miserably. And I guess, like, one day I was at my friend Dylan's house, and Dylan had, like, what was called, like, an MPD. Which is, like, you know what an MPC is?
I think MP.
For those of you who don't know, an MPC is just like this little like console thing that people used to like. People still use it a lot, but it was like way more prevalent like 20 years ago.
Right.
It was like these like, I guess you could call it like a beat making instrument. It's like those like big like pad machines you see that people will just like play the drums on and shit.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, okay.
I was at my friend Dylan's house and he had this thing called an MPD, which is like an MPC, but it only works like plugged into a computer. It's not a standalone thing. And he had like Ableton Live Lite. And I was just like over there watching this man make a beat, and he just did it so quick. And I'm like, I need that. Like Pro Tools takes so long to like even make a drum loop. The amount of time it takes to make one kick pattern in Pro Tools, Dylan was able to make like 3 beats. So I was like, I need this. So I ended up like getting what he had, the MPD, and it came with like a copy of Live Lite as well, which is like, for those of you who don't know as well, as software used to make beats or electronic or whatever. And I just started messing around for a while. Like, I went into it knowing that I wanted to make like metal loud beats for the most part, but I just like really didn't understand how to like go about doing that. Like I knew how to like make a metal song guitar, but I couldn't just like, you know, think of like a beat. I never like even prior to making beats, I was into rap, but it wasn't like my main genre even. I was still like listening to more rock than rap. Like I come from much more of like a rock background than a rap background.
Right.
But eventually, just like after like a few weeks of figuring out how Ableton works and just like messing around with it, became like a straight up addiction. Like I would just wake up and want to do that and then go to sleep, and actually never mind not go to sleep. I would just stay up and do that. And this was like my senior year of high school. I go into college with like a few months of beat making experience, and I'm kind of like that guy when I get to college. Like I'm just going around like trying to collab with everyone, trying to like just spread my seed everywhere. Like just walking up to people saying, "Oh, you know, like you make beats. All right, let's make a beat together." And in the process of doing that, I got my beats stolen. And I met people who I don't fuck with anymore, and beef started. And I just got into a lot of shit. But like, I think because I was sort of like a dumb beginner and just like went out and tried shit a bunch, that ultimately like got me connected to people like Half Metal Kaiba and Lil Darky and Brumming God and like all the heads that I work with nowadays. It was kind of all just like half sheer luck, half like my stupidity as a beginner, just like putting myself out there too much. And slowly, as my first like freshman year of college went on, I just got more and more into it. I started meeting the artists like I was working with in person, which then at the end of my first year of college, I decided to just drop out and pursue it fully and try to like make a full business out of it, which is what I do nowadays, where I just live back in New York City. I was at UC Santa Cruz, which I ended up leaving. I don't know if you saw Us yet or not, but I left UC Santa Cruz partially because like I didn't want to pursue school anymore, and partially because people get murdered there all the time. As if you've seen Us, you would know.
Damn. Okay. Based on true events, I didn't know that.
Oh, it's for sure. Like, it's funny as fuck. Like Us, the tweakers in that movie are like scarier than the people in All Red with the knives. Like the tweakers in Santa Cruz, you'll just walk into a bathroom and there's some guy with his dick out, just like putting it in like the air dryer, and he's just like, "Hey, come here, buddy," and you're like, "You know what? I'm good." You just walk out immediately. That shit happens like every day in Santa Cruz. It's a weird tweaker town, so I had to get the fuck out of there. Moved back to New York, and ever since then, I've linked it with people here like Christ Dillinger. Just been working with them a bunch. Shout out Christ Dillinger. Also, just shout out to anybody that is a fan or that I work with. Like, they're the reasons why this shit's all possible. Like me as a producer, like I have to always sit back and just be thankful for the team,
Right.
because like usually like I'm the one to start a song. Like I'll send someone a beat, and that will inspire them to make whatever they make. But like I'm never the one to finish this song. And as of right now, like I like it that way. I like being the person who just kind of like does my work, sends it out, people do whatever they want with it, and just like cycle continues endlessly. So that is basically how I got into it. It was sort of like I said, just kind of like random events. I was trying to record guitar, and then that ended up taking me into a whole odyssey of metal beats.
Interesting. So, you were into metal. I'm like not completely new. I'm more established now. But growing up, I was never into metal. But like, what were some of your like metal inspirations? Like, or just any inspirations if you have any. Like,
Yeah, 100%. So like I'd say my favorite metal band, like, and this is kind of like a cliche ass answer, but like it is honestly like my favorite of the metal bands probably is Slayer. I think Slayer just overall has some of like the most straight up like raw shit. And so like their project Rain in Blood, when I first heard that, that's an album that like to this day I can listen to, and like I can just find riffs and like drum patterns and shit that I'm like, oh, that'd be cool in a beat. And so like Slayer's definitely huge up there for me. There's a band called King Diamond, which is like less known, and it's they're like, I'm not gonna say they're my favorite band. So I honestly only like 2 albums of theirs, but like the 2 albums that they have that I like have me some of my favorite albums that I just like go back to all the time. Those being Abigail and Them, and so like I put them up there. Probably like honestly like the biggest influence on me though, like, and this actually kind of is like way more direct. I'll get into this. Is a band called Bad Brains. Do you know that band?
they're hardcore, aren't they?
Hardcore, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so for them, like, it's a much more personal one because, like, the town that I grew up in was Woodstock. Like, where fucking Woodstock 69 went down and all that. So it's like this weird little, like, rural farm town that's just full of, like, different artists who have all, like, washed up. And some of the heads who happened to live there were, like, 2 of the members of Bad Brains, the guitar player and the bass player. So, like, the person, like, one of the people who taught me guitar was the guitar player of Bad Brains. So for me, like, just hearing their music and like knowing Doc himself and like what he's taught me, I'd say Dr. No, like the guitar player of Bad Brains, might be like the most influential person on me for just like the style. I have other music teachers that I could shout out, like my teacher Paul Green, who just like would also teach me guitar. He's also like a huge influence on me. He just like gave me a lot of like really good game and advice about how to go about and just like put yourself out there.
Right.
And then on top of that, other like musical, like more so like I'll get into I guess like rap influences. I love a lot of like the super loud SoundCloud shit. Like I remember first hearing like a lot of like the Crow Life music, like Zodiac and
Yeah.
Heels Beats and like Kill Stacy and Heist and them. Like I remember first hearing all that stuff, and that like really kind of opened my eyes up to like more. Also, like likewise, like this is also like cliche answer for like cyber. Like hearing cyber, I for sure was like, yes, this is super cool. Like I want to try and get into this world more.
Yeah.
And then otherwise, like I find a lot of influence like just in my friends, like Lil Darky or Brumain or Cubensis. Like I feel like kind of blessed almost to like be friends with certain producers and rappers that I can like also say like when I hear their shit, it inspires me like to make more shit of my own.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, like and then as I was talking about earlier, like I'll take influence like just from the city I live in, like New York City. Like damn near every day I'll wake up and just like go somewhere I haven't been in a while and just walk around just to, you know, take a look at things, like listen to some music and from there I'll come back and make beats in the afternoon. So I find that I do take a lot of like visual inspiration from things like Coney Island or Williamsburg, just like random neighborhoods that I find like intriguing.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. I like
Yeah,
that.
so like I think that it's also like important to take influence from a lot of places because like with rap, something that Kanye West once said that I think like is really fucking true is that hip hop is the art of stealing. It's like sampling and just like making beats and flows and all that. Like inevitably, like very quickly, a lot of the shit that like you could flow or a lot of the samples or a lot of just the sounds have already been done. Like especially with trap music, like people don't like really listen closely to beats in general. But like if you were to like take say 10 hip hop songs out of the top 40 and like compare the beats, chances are like they all use like the same two or three beats. But it's like how do they add things on top of that and like change it up? So I do think that just like generally like keeping a super wide range of influence in your art, especially when it comes to like producing or rapping, is really important because as a genre, it's like a whole amalgamation of everything. Like rap is the first genre since ever where you could like make anything out of anything. Like coming from rock, there's only like 7 instruments you could use, like guitar and bass and vocals, drums, keyboards here and there. Like besides that, like there's not much you can do. You have to work with that. But like with rap, you could just sample anything. You could like take a field recorder and put it on your windowsill and just record sounds outside and make a whole sound out of that. Like you could, there's so many options that you could like run with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think because there's such like a wide range of things, it is really important to just like keep in mind that what's influencing you should be like a wide range as well. You shouldn't just like listen to one genre or one artist a lot because you will start to get stale. It's also like I see a lot of other producers like they always be like, "Oh, I make 40 beats a day or whatever." Like I just sit in my room and make beats all day, and they'll flex that. I think that's an absolutely terrible way of making beats. Like if you just wake up and sit in your room and make beats all day, every day, and just like a total hermit, you're gonna start making the same beat over and over again, and not even realize it. So it like literally it comes down to like weird things, like just going outside and like having weird little experiences, talking to some guy on the street, going up to some spot you think is cool looking, like just riding the subway. These are all like the important things that help like drive forward music.
I feel yeah, and I feel like that can go for a lot of things than just music though. I feel like that can go for if you're a writer, if you're an artist,
Yeah,
if you draw.
100%.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that.
anything like creative, you can definitely like figure out how to take influence from weird places.
Right.
And I think that is like because with rap, like I feel like we're in a weird period of rap right now. I'm gonna say it. Like
No, we
I
are.
think
We are 100%.
I think that we are not that I'm gonna say it's a. I think that like right now, half the shit coming out is like damn near some of the best shit I've heard out of the genre.
Yeah.
But I also think that there is like a prevalence of like I'm just gonna say it right now. There are way too many no melody songs coming out of SoundCloud, coming out of like the mainstream. Like you just go on like YouTube or SoundCloud and you hear people like hitting like stealing either Valet or Splurge's flow and just hitting that on top of like some no melody 808 beat that Kenny Beats made first, or not even first, but Kenny Beats popularized. Not everyone just makes that beat over and over again, and like it like drives me actually crazy that like I'll hop in like an Uber pool and some guy will get in there and put on his headphones and I'll hear like 7 songs back to back and they all sound like one song. Like it's just like this like repetitive thing.
Yeah. That is a thing. That's true.
And yeah, so like it's definitely a weird thing to see, but I also do like I do accept that like trends do come and go. Like I just think that like the prevalence of like the current trend that is within rap is like way too prevalent. Like there
Yeah.
needs to be more space. But I think it's gonna end soon because like you have heads like NLE Choppa, like they kind of like they made the best shit on that. Like new like Choppa Flow, like come on, he did it. Like you're not gonna beat that anymore. Like
That's
he
true.
made that video, he did that. Like everyone else is done. Like if you keep making no melody beats, like good luck.
Yeah, it's what you're saying. So it's like it's either the rap music is either really really experimental and good, or it's just generic and there's no in between, basically. Kind of what I'm
Yeah, that's
getting
it's like basically 100. Like I feel like there's a lot of homogenization of rap. Like people are just making like half the heads are making one song over and over again, and the other half of the heads are like making some really exciting shit.
at.
And there's even some people make some shit that's like too exciting. Like I'm like this is too weird. Like this is not like what is this? I can't. This is not music.
Exactly.
Like so yeah, it's a weird time for rap, but I also have like a lot of hopes for it because like seeing a lot of first of all like a lot of like mainstream artists right now, I think that there's like a cool new wave coming in. Like I really love Valet. I think Valet is one of the coolest new rappers, and it's exciting to see him like just taking over the mainstream. And not only that, but just like be this 30-year-old dude who like just really gives no fucks, and like seeing him come out of nowhere and just like take over with like Womp Womp, and like everyone's using that flow now. And I think like artists like him are super cool, and you have like a great direction there. I also think on the other half, like the mainstream, there's like some weirdness going on. Like I guess I'm gonna call it like Travis Scott syndrome. Like I feel like the album Rodeo is like damn near too influential, and because of that, like there's a lot of people just trying to like make sort of like Travis Scott inspired shit. And there's some people that I think have done it better. Like
Mm.
I'll like use like Migos as an example. Like I think like their first Culture album is a really good example of kind of like how to take like the rodeo sound and expand on it and make it cool.
Right.
But then like they made Culture 2 after that. No one gives a fuck about Culture 2. But like you see like there's like a lot of like weird artists who might have been doing like cool shit prior. And I'll also like even put Travis Scott in that category. Like I think Travis Scott, Trippie Redd, Lil Uzi Vert, maybe like there's a lot of like artists who I think were doing cool shit who are pushing shit forward, and now like they're starting to sort of like get into the mix, like where all right, y'all have like sort of run your course. So now we're getting a new wave of mainstream artists, and I think that's really exciting. But I do think that like the main, like not the mainstream, but like the SoundCloud underground is for sure the most exciting place for rap right now.
For sure. Yeah, no, it's
Like
definitely.
I think if you look just to SoundCloud and you like even if you're like a beginner and you don't like really know what's good, like how to go about finding new artists, which there is definitely like a whole skill to that and like a whole like, little process.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're a beginner and you find like one or two artists only, like you're gonna hear some shit on that platform that you're never gonna hear on the radio right now. But like in a
Right.
year from now, you probably will. That's why I think it's exciting. And like to me, the SoundCloud sound right now is like what the mainstream might become. And
Ooh, I
seeing
hope. I
just
hope.
seeing someone like Josiah get a Cole Bennett video
Mm.
gives me even more hope because like
Hell
no,
yeah.
not even that just like I really like his music, and it's not even like he was like one of like the biggest artists on SoundCloud. It's not like he had like 90K followers and then Cole Bennett just showed up. He had like 7K followers and then Cole Bennett popped out of nowhere. Now he probably has like tens of thousands, and
Right.
that's really like that's exciting to see. There's someone like him come out and like take over and get that mainstream attention. Like as soon as his video came out, I started seeing kids from like my old high school just like posting on their story, listening to that song, bumping like Ronnie J beats, and it's like, damn, I've been mad at y'all for sleeping on this for so long, and now I'm mad y'all are dick riding, but I can't be that mad because it's good for me.
Right. Exactly. Yeah,
Like
that's
that's how
cool.
I feel about it. Yeah. So
And
like no, it's interesting to see that, and I do think that like going back to like rock too, there's kind of like weird parallels between rock and like rap in terms of how they progressed through
oh
like the
hell yeah.
decades.
Yeah.
And
They're brothers for sure. Brother styles.
no, 100%. Like when I remember, like if you like go back to like the 50s of like rock,
Mm-hmm.
everything was like very simple, straightforward. Like kind of funny to say that about like this with trap right now, but like in the 50s, especially, most rock songs had like two chord progressions over and over again. Every song used. It's
Yep.
called the 1-4-5 or the 1-6-4-5. I think the progressions, and damn near every song used that.
Right.
So it's kind of funny like to see how that also like sort of parallels into nowadays, but like calling the 50s is kind of like the 80s of rap. It's like things are beginning. They're simple, but like they're also classic and like gonna be timeless. You know, like early NWA, early like West Coast G Funk, early like boom bap like wasn't even like fully there yet. Just like the 80s was a funny decade, just like how the 50s was for rock.
Yeah.
And then you get into the 90s, which is like the 60s. We have people like the Beatles come out, you know, and I could almost equate them to like Wu-Tang Clan or NWA or some shit who were like making a lot of moves in like the early 90s.
Hell yeah.
And the Rolling Stones, like it's like when rock started to get much more mainstream, but also like much more deep and developed. You had like a lot more going on, more movements, more waves. And like the 90s is for sure that, because you have like boom bap on the East Coast, G funk out in West. You have shit in the Midwest going on, like Memphis rap and like South Florida rap even was like having a bit of a beginning. Like I also like people really sleep on Memphis rap, and we'll talk about that later. That's also another influence for sure. But like,
especially with trap.
yeah, especially with trap. But it's like it's cool because like the 60s is like the 90s. Then you get into the 2000s, like the 70s. It's getting even more popular in the mainstream, and things are getting a bit more like commercial, where you see like more like record labels are starting to sign more rock artists, and like the sound is starting to become like something you just like hear on the radio as opposed to just like some hippie show.
And and to add to that, also like what I love about it, like at one point you had to be in a band and stuff like that to make rock music. Now it's like I know people don't really, it gets a bad rep, but quote unquote the whatever community, the trap metal, whatever you want to call it, this community, like it's like a new solo way of making rock and metal in the past. You know what I mean? It's like you don't have to
totally.
have a band, you just get your computer, get a mic, and or find a producer like yourself and make.
No, it's really funny you say that, like, because you know who Frank Zappa is. I'm sure you do. Like, Frank Zappa is like, to give context into like people who don't know, he was this like progressive rock artist too. His stuff was kind of inspired half by just like psychedelic rock, and then the other like half is just like a mishmash of everything, like a lot of like show tunes like Broadway, or like weird metal inspirations or weird funk. Like he just went all over the place, but I would say like definitively a lot of it's very psychedelic. Point is, like, a lot of times his band was like really big. You would have like a few other guitar players, maybe some other drummers, like singers. He'd have loads of singers. Like he had like full orchestras sometimes, 40-piece bands and shit. And back in like the late 80s, he was dying of cancer. And there's this one interview you can watch with him where he's like getting just super frail and like crusty looking, just like the cancer's really gotten to him. And he's like sitting in his studio with this like really early, like just recording console and really early like beat making technology basically. And he's sitting there just like programming a song, like how you make a beat. And the person interviewing him is asking like, do you enjoy this? Like, where's your band? Like, this looks terrible. Why are you doing this? And he's like, actually, I like this way more. Like, I don't have to tell anyone anything. No one gives me any shit. I have to pay no one. It's way better. And, like, I saw that. And I'm just like, you know what? That's facts. Like, as much as I loved being in bands and, like, doing all that, there's so much, like, drama in being a band. Not to say there isn't drama in, like, rap and being a producer and shit, but there's just, like, a lot of, like, in drama. And if you have ideas, like, this is kind of like a selfish thing, but, like, when you're in a band, you're never going to fully, like, get your ideas where they want unless like you're the person who like everyone else is just accepted is going to write all the songs, which does happen pretty regularly, but like you have to be that person in the band for that to happen to you. But as a producer, as a rapper, like you can just make whatever you want. Like you control the drums and the bass and the lead melodies and all that, so like you can really fine tune exactly what you want. And like I guess like that tickles my ego a little bit, like coming from bands where it's like I had to always like come in with riffs that I really like fucked with, and then people just didn't like them, so you had to workshop them, and I got sad and like, damn, like this is not as cool anymore. But now I can just wake up and get no shit from no one, and it's great.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's excellent.
Yeah, man. Well, to get on another topic though, to like push that more and more on you. Who would you like to, it's interesting to know this now that I know like your background and everything. Who would you like to collab with more in the future?
Well, I mean, like obviously
it could be artists or producers, by the way.
Yeah, so basically, like all the artists that I currently work with, like Lil Darky and Brumming, Cubensis, Salsa, all of them, like I'll also just like give you a list of names right now, like of people that I still work with that I can want to continue working. That's like Half Metal Kaiba, Salsa, Heel, Lil Cubensis, Lil Darky, Brumming God, Christ Dillinger. There's so many heads honestly that I could just like name right now. So if I forgot you, I'm sorry. But that's like more on like the SoundCloud level. I'm honestly I'll get more into just like dream collabs or something. Like there's if I have a few. Like one of my favorite producers slash artists really is Kanye West. So like the idea of ever like making a song with Kanye West to me, that's like a huge goal to set. Like I find his production, it's nothing at all like what I make as tell, but I do find his production like really fascinating, and just the fact that from each project he just like changes it up so much, and he finds like he has this weird thing where I don't think any other artist like really focuses on this. But like coming from rock, go back into this. One thing I always like love is when you're listening to an album and like a guitar player or a bass player, they like throw in a wrong note that sounds really off, but like it's really good still because it's off. Like you hear it and just like it just makes your ears be like that's wrong, but like that's cool for it. Like a lot of like punk has that. I think Kanye is one of the only rappers who like does that lyrically. Like he'll get on a song and just say some ignorant ass shit, like you know, the fucking model bleaching her asshole shit, or like the hurt my damn croissants. Like he has all these dumbass lines that people will like say are really like unintelligent, but you will remember them like for years because they're just so stupid. Like they just get stuck into your head because they're just so like dumb and ignorant. And I love that. So like I would love to make a song with him where he just gets on one of my beats and just says the dumbest shit that would make everyone so mad, and I just could remember it for years. That's for sure one. Another one, like again, like not at all my style, but I would love to like make a song with is MF Doom. He's one of my favorite rappers, and not so much that like I'm trying to make something like metal with him. I would just like to meet him and collab with him to just sort of like get tapped into like the sort of grimier lo-fi like boom bap style he's on. So I do really enjoy his music, but it's not something that I really am too familiar with like when it comes to like composing it. I just like I think he has an interesting way of doing it. I like to see him work. And then otherwise, like honestly, like there's like a lot of like rock musicians I would like love to make beats with, but like they probably would be like dead with them that I could. Like Eddie Van Halen, I'd love to just get him in the studio and like record a bunch of crazy ass guitar solos and riffs and just like sample those. He's up there. There's this guy named Robert Fripp who's like the lead like guitar player of this band called King Crimson, and he makes some crazy ass shit. So I'd love to like just sample him. Adrian Belew, who was in David Bowie's band and Talking Heads, which are not really either artists that I listen to all that much, but I really do like his guitar playing. And he makes a lot of like really weird noises and just like effects, which is what I'm like completely into as a producer. So yeah, there's honestly like a lot of them are like way like dream collabs or like way more just like old heads who've just like been in music. I'm not like not. I wouldn't say I really like would care for like collabing with like any like current mainstream artists. Like, I would take it. Like say Juice WRLD hit me up, was like, yo, I want to be. Like, I'm not gonna say no to that,
Right.
but I'm not like out here like waiting for that to happen. Like I'd rather just collab with like underground heads or like established like industry veterans. So I just like really like their sound, like Mike Dean or someone like that, you know.
Interesting. So another thing, why did you? I'm pretty sure you probably answered this before if you've been on like lives and stuff. I don't know, but I haven't heard it. Why are you named after a Native American legend?
Okay, so it's like kind of two things. One, I just think like Wendigos are just mad cool, and the name is really cool, so that's like part of it. Like so, like I guess I'll explain from the top. That's why I initially did it, but there's like a specific experience I had that then like made me really go with the name.
Don't tell me
and
you saw a Wendigo, bro.
No, I didn't see a Wendigo. So like I guess basically like to tell you the story, I'm just gonna like tell the story what a Wendigo is real quick. It's a Wendigo is like this monster that if you commit an act of cannibalism, it like possesses you and makes into this big half man, half deer creature thing. And you just rampage around, start wanting to kill people and eat them. So like that story, I think like besides the fact that like maybe some people thought it was actually real, I think like that story was told like back in the day by travelers and Native Americans because like actually back then when you were traveling, there was like a real risk of like running out of food. So like say you're out in the woods with someone and you run out of food, like the temptation to just kill them and eat them like might set in at some point.
Right.
So people would tell that story because it's like a dangerous thing to do. Like say you kill someone and eat them, like your companion. Well, yeah, you might like have gotten a meal, but now like say some shit goes down. You're down one person, like you're probably fucked at this point. So like eating your friend might have been in your brain like the move, but it will almost in every situation that people would do that, it would end up getting them killed. So to then get into how that ties into music, I'm not going to name this person because we are cool now, but there was a situation I had back in college where I had met a producer who was like decently big, had a few songs like, you know, a few million plays, and we hung out one day and I gave him some stems and he didn't like really add too much and just like sent the beat out and didn't credit me. And like he gave the shit to like Lil Pump and Bones and Zodiac and a bunch of heads and just didn't put my name on it. And I asked him like, dude, like what's good with that? And he's just like, oh, like I forgot, like my bad. And then instead of like crediting me as Wendigo, he just credits me as Alex from Oaks. It was like the dorm that I lived in. It was called Oaks. And I'm just like, dude, that's not my name. And he's like, I don't know. Like it's done now. And I'm just like, bro, like where's my credit at? Let's fucking go with that. We get into this whole beef because basically like, even though I gave him my stems, like I had gotten this feeling that like he just like ripped me off to use the stems to use as like leverage to get like a Lil Pump placement. So that kind of reminded me of like me and this guy were almost like in the forest and he just like decided to eat me so he can get ahead. And after that experience, I was like, now Wendigo fits because I've actually had like someone who I thought was my friend just come through and exploit me and then use my body basically as a way for them to get ahead and get a placement.
Like a Wendigo.
So that's where like how a Wendigo would do it. Yeah, Wendigo just eats their friend so they can get ahead in the woods or whatever. So that's where it came from.
Okay.
It's like a reminder like to watch out for Wendigos for myself. Like
metaphorically, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's just like it's a warning for myself that I have kept as my name.
I like that. Okay. So which one of your beats would you say that you've made are your favorite?
Well, I'd say some of my favorite beats have never been released yet because generally speaking, like this is like how I feel about it. People will come to me and tell me like that they have favorite beats of mine, but like I think because I just make all the beats, like I generally like prefer my beats that like are the newest. Like I'll just make beats every day, and like every like week I'll make one beat that I'm like that was the best beat of that week. Like, that's my new best beat. So like, but in terms of like songs that are currently out, like the audience could like hear it. I'll give you a few.
Okay.
Like I guess like 2 or 3. So like, I can't put my name on it like or my finger on it fully. But like some of my favorite beats that I've done, for sure, like the second beat on Big War by Lil Darky, like the super bluesy, like upbeat military part of that song.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite beats that I've done. One of the beats that like it's actually like a really old beat of mine. It's the first song I ever like had released on a beat of mine is Indigo Underworld by Half Metal Kaiba. And that beat, like, I honestly like not to suck my own dick, but I don't like really get how I made it. Like I made that shit like it was like 2 months of being a producer. I listened to that and I'm like, damn, like this is like way more detailed than like a lot of my beats nowadays. So I like that one a lot because that one I can still listen back to, and like there's aspects of it that like are definitely like beginner ass Wendigo shit, but like I can still hear it and like hear new shit when I like listen to it nowadays 'cause it's so old. So yeah, probably those two, like Big War and Indigo Underworld.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So how long has you worked personally and like closely with Lil Darky and like you said in Brotherman God? How long have you known them?
So I'll tell you like the story how kind of that all came to be because it's sort of like all changed together. I started producing like I said like about 1.5 years ago, and when I first started, like I had this one kid in my town named Marlon Dubois, and I like made a few songs with him, but like his style just generally is kind of like more on some other shit. Like shout out Marlon, and people should go check him out, but he's more on like some other shit. It's kind of I don't even know how I would like fully describe his sound. It's like it's so unique to the point where like you kind of have to just like hear it. He makes like very weird out there shit. So I was working with Marlon for a bit, and like I just like very quickly like realized that like my beats were not meant for my friend Marlon. So I had to figure out like how to get new placements. And I was very like new and inexperienced, but I just like knew about YouTube beats. So I started like I had a YouTube channel, and literally Whoa, hold on 1 second. My bad. My iTunes started playing a crazy song for a second. I started my YouTube beat channel, and within like a month, I got 2 people who hit me up. One of them was Quentin of Angry Black Men, and the other person was Half Metal Kaiba. So Angry Black Man, like I work with them, and they're kind of like separate from the Brahmin God, Kaiba, Lil Darky, like Spider Gang thing.
Mm-hmm.
But so like I still work with Angry Black Man to this day. But so I met Kaiba, and he had like wanted to get this one beat of mine called Anti-Taxi, which he made a song on that never ended up releasing. And we were like talking for like a month, and it wasn't like really going anywhere. And he didn't drop the song that I'd given him, which made me salty. And I just thought it was kind of like, okay, it's probably like not gonna work out. But then I released the beat for Indigo Underworld on YouTube, and he hits me up and he's like, "Yeah, I need this. Like, we're making a song on this one." And I'm like, "Bet." And then I don't hear back from him, for like a few weeks until he sends me like a snippet of it featuring this guy Terrace Black, and I hear that and I'm like, "Yeah, this is crazy. Like, release this." And then it ends up coming out. Like that song and then Riot, my first 2 songs I ever released. They both came out in the same week. And though, like I'm just listening to this, I'm like, this is fucking dope. Like, this is different. And I start like talking to Kaiba more and more. And eventually, like this is like, I'm gonna say November of like 2017, like a pretty like good while ago. I'm in my freshman year of college. I'm just like talking with Kaiba, and I never actually like asked him where he lived at. And I was at Santa Cruz. And eventually I just like asked him that, and he's like, "Oh, I'm in this town like San Rafael up north." And I'm like, "Oh shit, like that's like an hour from where I'm at. Like we should definitely like link up sometime." So, long story short, like 6-7 months after our first song came out, Kai put on a show called Garage Night with Brahmin God and him and a bunch of other people, and I pulled up for that and did a little set. And that's why I met all of them like in person. So I met Brahmin God, Kaiba, this guy Flood, this dude Nasty Novocaine, who's like a designer. We all met at this show and started this group called Inferno Club. And I was like up there for, I'm gonna say like 2 or 3 days. And the second day after the show, me and Kaiba like are just working on some music, and I play him this one beat called like La Violencia or something like that. And he hears that and he's like, "Oh, let's make a song on this." So we record like a little intro like chorus for it, and then he says he wants a feature on it. So we're literally just like going through SoundCloud. Actually, no, I wasn't there for this part, but he's going through SoundCloud looking for someone to add to this song. And eventually he finds someone who has like 400 followers whose name is Lil Darky. And he asked Lil Darky if he wants like to hop on this song, to which Darky is just like, sure. And we get the other guy named West End Ghoul on the song, and eventually it comes out like 2 weeks later. And it's Reckless Behavior by Half Metal Kaiba featuring Lil Darky and West End Ghoul. And I hear it, and I hear Darky. And Kaiba, I love you, bro, but Darky kind of outgassed you on that one. Like, I hear this song, I hear Lil Darky hit it, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, what? And I find his music on SoundCloud. He has, like, literally, I mean, at this point, actually, he had loads of songs out. Like, for those of you who don't know, Darky was known as Brahmin, or he was Lil Darky. Like, basically, he had this whole, like, multi-year career doing, like, way more, like, positive, just, like, sometimes chiller, sometimes kind of dark, but, like, way more, like, positive. Not that he's negative nowadays, but, like,
he's definitely
Lil Darky, he definitely, like, Lil Darky, like, he sounds like some, like, LA surf rapper when he was Brahmin, and then he became Lil Darky. So when I heard him, he was already Lil Darky. I didn't catch him when he was still Brahmin, but he only had, like, 3 songs out as Darky, and then he had, like, 200 songs on his SoundCloud as Brahmin. And I started listening through all of them, and they just, like, caught my eye. The one song was Hash Slinging Slasher. I heard that, and that I was just like, bruh. And I remember there was one day where I was with my friends, like, in school. It was all in our dorm, just, like, smoking a backwood. And I had the Beats pill, and I was playing the music. And that song comes on. And I just, like, played it for my friends, like, literally 12 times in a row. Like, 12 times in a row. Not made up number. And they're just like, why are you doing this, first of all? But also, this is kind of fire. Like, who is this kid? And I'm like, this is Lil Darky. And my friend Sam just suggests, like, you should, like, hit him up or, like, upload a Lil Darky type beat or some shit. And I'm like, bet. So I do kind of both of them at the same time. I just upload the first ever Lil Darky type beat to YouTube, and then I DM him, like, I uploaded the first Lil Darky type beat. How do you feel about this? And he hits me back, like, instantly, and it's like, yes, this is fire. Like, thank you, bro. We started talking a little bit. I sent him some more beats. And then about a month later, when school ends, I go home. And that's when it really begins. We started talking like every day, just making music all the time. We make before I actually like meet him in person, we made Big Wave 1, Are You Out of Your Mind, Get a Stick. And yeah, those are the three that we made. And then he came to New York for a bunch of shows. I met him in the city. We made Spirits together in the city. And then after that, I went back to go live with him in Long Beach about like a month. Then I came back to New York, lived in like upstate for a while. Then I moved to the city. And then just recently I was back with Darky like for, again, like a month. And we just, like, ever since like Big Wave 1 came out, it's like, he's my girlfriend at this point. Like, he calls me every day. It's like having like a true fucking relationship. And it's like we just be making music, and that's kind of it. All just began because Kaiba just found him like literally on SoundCloud like randomly. It's kind of weird honestly because Kaiba found me randomly, and then Kaiba found Darky randomly. It's like it kind of freaks me out that like all this like really was just like some computer algorithm just like let it be where it all worked out. But that is how it happened. Like it's not like we met Darky prior. I didn't know like Kaiba going into producing. It just all sort of happened this way. And it's a mystery to me, honestly. But that's the story of it. So like nowadays, like knowing all of them, I go out to California like pretty frequently to go see them. And yeah, it's crazy. Like since I've met Darky too, like when I first met him and like we made our first songs together, like he had like 500 followers, and it's like crazy that was like really only like Big Wave 1 came out. I'm gonna say in like late July or like early August of last year. It's like not even that long ago. And now you know where he's at today.
That's lit.
So it's been an odyssey. It's been a journey.
I see, man. That's good, though. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, so that's the story of that. It's just, like I said, it's a story of a computer algorithm just putting us together.
Almost fate in a sense.
Yeah, it's some weird, freaky shit. That's how it happened. That's why the internet is so fucking beautiful, because shit like that can happen.
Exactly. That's lit, though, man. I like that. That's lit. That's lit. Gotta make sure I get Darky on here, too.
Easily. I'm sure he'd be super down.
Dope. I heard him.
Darky's type of rapper where like he'll hear any song and just want to hop on it with or he'll want to give you an interview verse.
That's dope.
That's what he's into. But yeah, so like in terms of other artists like Christ Dillinger, like I just met him pretty recently. Like he happens to live here in the city too, and I just like hit him up one day. I just like heard him. There's this rapper named Schlosser who like works with 6ix9ine a bunch. Not so much anymore, obviously, but like back in the day, like they were really tight. And I've never like really like knew Schlosser, but I just knew of him. And he is like, I will say, he has like one of the best Instagrams. Like his name's Insecure God on Instagram, and you go on there, and like he's just like this really fucking big black dude who just like looks mad doofy. But like on every post of his, he's just with like all these bitches, just like. And they're so raunchy. Like it'll be like one video of him just like putting his tongue in some girl's mouth, and it's just him filming that for like 20 seconds. Then you like next video, it's like him on a boat, just like grabbing ass and like drinking Henny, and just talking about how he's wavy as fuck. Like he has such a great Instagram. It's one of the best things to just look at. And I was just on there one day, and like I see Dillinger's name, and I click on it. So I'd also like seen him like kind of searching on SoundCloud a bit. Like, I had seen him like get reposted a few times. I heard some of his songs, and he has like actually like, living not too far from me. So I hit him up, go over there. We make the first song we made together was Glock Out, and then since that, like I just go over there all the time. We just make dumbass little ignorant songs. It's mad fun.
Lit, man. That's lit.
So yeah, that's pretty much all the stories of how I've met anybody that I've met. Else I have not. If I've worked with someone else that I didn't mention, haven't met him.
Got you. Okay.
So yeah, like haven't met Amy Blackman yet. Like. They're the first ones I started working with, but I still have not yet to meet them, which this kind of has me butthurt. I got to meet them soon.
I'm sure it'll happen. Just keep grinding.
Yeah, it'll happen. They have some. Actually, speaking of which, they have a show with Lil Darky in Chicago in like May.
Oh man, that's dope as fuck.
So I might have to slide for that one.
Hell yeah, get some.
I've never been to Chicago either. I'd like to go out there.
Yeah. I've been once though. So though, but it was right.
That sounds like a bit of an uneasy answer.
It was,
like you had a bad experience there.
No, it wasn't bad. It wasn't much there. When I went there, it just wasn't much. Maybe I didn't go to the right parts, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, I don't know shit about Chicago. I don't know what the right parts are. I know probably like don't like be just like all I really know about Chicago is just like don't be an idiot when you go there.
Yeah,
Just don't be a dumbass when you go there.
for sure, man, for sure.
Because like it's funny as fuck. New York City gets like a reputation for being like this like really hard city. It's not actually like New York. It's like the rep of New York is kind of like really inaccurate. People say New York is like the hardest, realest city, and it is neither of those things. Like people like New York, I would say. I think it's one of the coolest cities, and just like visually and just like the stuff they have here. I like it's something that's probably my favorite. Like I don't know any other cities where like they have like delis like how they have here where you can just like 2 a.m. we're gonna bacon, egg, and cheese.
Right.
Or you know, like the subway here is like really iconic and there's like a lot of like landmarks. But people here in this city like are so like money hungry and just like schemy in that regard. So I don't think it's a very like real city. But Chicago I've heard is kinda like it's it's honestly like super fucking like militant out there. People just like be killing each other, which that's not good. Because in New York you don't have that. But I also hear that Chicago's kind of just like a real version of New York. So that sounds cool to me.
That's interesting.
Like New York City, it's funny. Like you think like people like say it's the hardest city, and I will say people in New York, like I said, I live in the hood, so like I do witness shit go down, and I've never seen a gun in this city. People will just like rob you with a lead pipe or some shit. Like they don't fuck around. Like in New York City, you're never gonna get like robbed at gunpoint, or no one's gonna like come into your crib with a gun. But someone might come into your crib with like a crowbar or some shit. Like,
Hey man, well. Shit.
So it kind of is the hardest city for that because people out here like people out here like they know how to rob you with like a fucking toothpick or some shit. Like
they're tough. That's true.
It's like a kind of different experience. But I wouldn't say like it's not like a real like gangster city. Like you don't see people out here like actually doing crazy ass shit. Because first of all, like laws here are just kind of like strict. Like
yeah,
people don't like have guns out here because like you just can't really get a gun here. But also like NYPD is just so fucking like brawlic. They're literally on every block and they have like ARs in every fucking vehicle. Like you cannot mess with them.
Damn.
No, it's crazy. They get more funding than like the majority of other like militaries of the like world. They're like their own army. They're crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. But well, speaking of that, what? So how do you dress? Like what clothes do you rock out in New York? Because I don't know if you stay.
So actually, I would love to give a shout out right now because there is a brand like they send me a lot of clothes. Like I'm not gonna say I'm sponsored by them, but like I'm damn near sponsored by them at this point. I just be getting shipments, and that is a brand called Confirmed Kill. And I pretty much like every day I'm just like wearing Confirmed Kill shit. Like right now I'm sitting here talking to you. I'm wearing a Confirmed Kill sweatshirt and a Confirmed Kill beanie on my head. And but like people in New York, fashion wise, it's actually like a really interesting mix. Like I think people here in the city like it's cool for that. It's like definitely a good fashion city because we have a lot of like areas that are there's a lot like New York's like the closest like Paris or some shit for that. Right. Like we just loads of like big name brands like posted here in the city.
Right.
And like I don't know if you've ever been, but like you ever go to like Soho? Yeah. They have like store like just like a Prada store. You walk into the Prada store, it's insane. Like I can't buy anything in there yet, but like you just walk in there and it's like an indoor skate park and they just like put models all over the ramps and shit and just stand there. And like it's just like the most crazy like futuristic looking store for no reason. And that's just like how it is in Soho. There's just loads of crazy ass stores just that are crazy for no reason other than just to flex on everyone else. So now where I live at in Crown Heights is much different. Like people here, it's like I keep mentioning it's. I don't mean to keep stressing it's the hood. Basically, it's hood fashion. So what that means is there's like one guy on the block in an all red tracksuit at all times.
Yeah.
Then you got like a bunch of dudes wearing all black everywhere. So that's kind of like the go-to around here is like all black. Which that's also the move. Like not even just because A$AP Rocky and like Space Ghost Perp are on that. Like it is the move around here is to wear all black. Mm-hmm. But when you go into like what I wear, I would say like I have a few things that I wear that I think are like unique to me. Like I wear like my orange sweatpants a lot. Like I just like have like a lot of orange clothing, and that's kind of becoming trendy nowadays. And I'm just gonna put it out there that I've been on that shit for years. And if anyone comes at me,
y'all stealing from Wendigo.
Yeah, you straight biting my shit. So, but otherwise, like I don't know, I really enjoy fashion, and I really like I respect my friends who are into it, but I don't love spending money on it just because I do think it is like like kind of like to bring up like art, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. Like he talked about this a lot, where like he's always just talking about like buying like jewelry and like clothes is like kind of a bad investment.
Yeah.
And I sort of agree with that. Like, not to say that like you can't like sell clothes or shit. Like obviously like people are gonna be into that, and even like I said, I'm in buy some clothes here and there, but like I would just like rather spend my money on like other shit, like especially like music related shit. Ooh, this music related shit. So like I don't be going out and like buying out the fucking Supreme store in Manhattan. Like I don't know. I'll just like I'll find things that I like here and there, whether it's at a Goodwill or it's at like some crazy ass expensive store. Like, if I like it and I have money for it and I decide like it's worth it, I'll throw it down on it. But honestly, I don't think I have enough of like a fully defined style, so I need to work on that.
All right, that's interesting.
I will say like I'm trying to get more into those like tattoos. Like I just got like a crazy huge tattoo on my chest of a spider with an AK-47, and I want to get a bunch more spiders all over me. Like. I think tattoos are super dope, and like I think also like growing up, like my mom just has mad tattoos. I think that's like why I like them, is because like my mom always had a bunch of them, and like I always thought she was the cool mom for that. But like I find something like I will say this tattoo I just got like a few days ago hurt like a fucking bitch. Like I got this shit right in the center of my chest, and it's like as wide as a football, and like it's basically just like the size of a football. It's just huge. This massive like filled-in spider. It was like 3.5 hours of just excruciating needlepoint pain, but like it was for sure worth.
Okay.
Like I don't know. I guess it's kind of funny. Like I'll throw down mad bread on a tattoo like easily, but on like clothing, I'm not sure.
True. So you mind? Can I get into some fun questions before I wrap it up? We going on to the 1 hour mark, so.
Yeah, sure. Any fun questions you want to throw at me?
Dope. What should I ask you for? Okay. Who's your celebrity crush if you have one? It only be one.
Celebrity crush if I have one. I don't know if I have one.
Not even like
I got all my crushes have been given to girls from high school. Like I don't have crushes to give away. Like all people that I be crushing on are just people that like I've known for all my life that I never said anything to.
Yeah. Well, I was like
that's like that real mystery that I like.
That's lit though.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, hold on. I'll name a few heads from high school though.
Okay.
Shout out. Okay, basically, like, damn near, like, all the girls I had a really small class, and there were a bunch of girls that I had crushes on. Like, shout out Sierra Schultes, shout out Stephanie Vianello, shout out Gabby Raphael, shout out Natalie Tischler. Like, I never said anything, except to you, Sierra. You know that, Sierra. She fucking dubbed me. It's alright. This is a while ago. I'm not mad anymore. You can still hit me up.
Hey, he blowing up. Wendigo blowing up.
But yeah, no, I don't got any, like, I don't think I got, like, any celebrity crushes, but I also think that has to kind of do with like I don't really fuck with like I'll see someone who I like as like an actress or something that I think is cute, but then like you just like learn you go into like a story, say some tabloid, and it's like Angelina Jolie's divorcing Brad Pitt because he's too poor, and it's like, oh, okay. It's like, oh, it's all right. Oh, I don't know, like I damn near had a crush on Cardi B till now.
Something was going to tell me to say that, but I was like, you know what? I'm being cityist because they're both from New York.
No, I damn near had a crush on Cardi B, but like nowadays, I don't know. I would say that crush kind of died recently.
Have you seen her sister? Her sister's pretty cute.
I actually didn't even know she had a sister. That's good news, though. That's more shit to work with. That's good. She hasn't been ruined yet, you know.
Sadly, her sister's gay. But anyway,
that don't matter.
Oh, okay.
That don't mean anything. That don't mean anything.
You still going for the kill?
100%.
Okay. Hey, man.
Until you are like definitively told no, it's always on the books.
You know what? I believe in you. I believe in you. That's lit.
I've never hooked up with someone who's gonna be a lesbian, but I have lots of friends that. So like, yeah, I know for a fact that like, it's funny too because my mom like growing up, my mom's bisexual, so I have like 2 moms in my house. So I'm not even trying to like get on anything like saying lesbians aren't actually lesbians or gay people aren't actually gay people, but I have seen my other friends of mine like hook up with lesbians and shit, and it's like, is you lying? Like, are you just tired of dick and you're just saying you're lesbian right now?
I don't know.
I don't even know. Let's move on to the next question.
Okay. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, one superpower. I'm just not gonna say time control because that's like what everyone fucking says, and that's like a dumb one. I think honestly, the one superpower that like I wish I could have, if anything, is the ability to just like be able to like to dance anything. Like I can like hit just the craziest dance moves. Like I can just like the ability to just like see someone hit like a crazy ass dance move and just instantly like repeat it back. Like I love dancing so much, and I'm kind of bad at it, and that's I think why it's legendary. So I'll pull up to a party and just like go right into the middle of the room and start milli rocking on everyone. But I can't really milli rock, like it's like a half milli rock. But I'll just keep doing it the whole time, like. And like if I really just like knew how to like dance like to an insane like superhero level, it'd be unstoppable.
That's lit.
So I want crazy like Billy Elliot dance powers.
That's funny. Okay. That's a new one. I like that one. I like that.
For the ladies and the boys who are just trying to turn up. Mostly for the ladies though.
I feel you.
We out here milli rocking for the hose, not on the hose, for the hose.
For them. Hell yeah. Let me see. You have any favorite foods?
Definitely sushi.
Everyone says sushi.
Sushi's. Yeah, sushi's. That's because it's the best food. Like, I feel like sushi is just. There's something that's like so lit about it because like it's just cool looking, it's cool tasting. It's like you walk into a sushi restaurant, you see them like make it behind the bar. Like it's just like a cool ass shit to eat, and like I feel like it gets complimented the best. Like people always say like the best combination is like burger and fries, but it's not. It's sushi and green tea. People don't know that though, and maybe I'm like a total fucking hipster for saying those words, but I don't care. Like it's the truth.
I'm allergic to fish, so I'll sadly never know.
Oh no. Okay, so then I'll give you an answer that you can try. I'll say my other favorite food, and this is like I mentioned it earlier. It's like deli food. Like I really fuck with like bacon, egg, and cheeses, and like chicken cutlet sandwiches, and just like the shit that I can go and like get at 3 a.m. in my corner store. Like that's what I love.
Yeah, I eat it all the time. So I
like
live in Subway.
Not even that's like my favorite type of food. It's just like the experience of it is my favorite. Like especially in New York City, people who are from New York know like when you live like on a block that has a deli that you go to like every day, the people in that deli like they'll get to know you so quick, and like it's like a whole culture. You walk in there and they just hook it up and they know what you want instantly. Especially where I live in Brooklyn too, like they make crazy sandwiches. Have you ever heard of like a chopped cheese?
No, I haven't heard of that actually.
Oh my god, yeah, I think it's like only like a New York thing. It's like a hero sandwich. They take like hamburger meat, like just like ground beef, and they just put that in the hero, and then just like peppers, mayo, ketchup, tomato, onion. They just stuff it with shit.
I'm supposed to be coming up there soon, so I'll try it.
It's fire. It's fire. There's like. I'm not even like trying to flex, but I kind of think this is the case too. Like I think I have the best deli in New York on my block, and they just make such a good chopped cheese.
That's lit. All right, well shoot, I'm gonna pull up Wendigo and
Nah, easily. We'll fucking get chopped cheeses.
Let's do it. Okay, because we coming up on the 1 hour mark. Just a few more questions, and then and I'll have you have the floor if you want to say anything on that.
Yeah, sure.
Did I ask you? You think I asked you enough fun questions? I've had to.
No, ask some more fun questions. I'm having a good time.
Okay.
I like being surveyed.
My phone died, so I gotta do it off the top of my head. Oh,
sure.
Yeah, I think I asked everyone. Do you have a favorite anime? Because I don't watch anime. So.
Yes, 100%. And this is probably the answer you get every time, but I'm gonna say it. It's Naruto.
Yep.
I think. Because you probably like interview mostly like hip hop artists. I think everyone in rap fucks with Naruto because that show is kind of like if you're a rapper or a producer and you've seen that show, it's kind of what your life is in a weird way. Yeah. Like I feel like Naruto, it's my favorite anime, but it's not. Like my actual favorite anime is Full Metal Alchemist. Like for the anime,
too. They say Death Note, Full Metal Alchemist, and Naruto.
Yeah, no, like my favorite one for the actual content of the show is for sure Fullmetal Alchemist, but I would say Naruto because like there's something about that show where it's just like 15 episodes straight of like grinding, then like 10 episodes straight of some like one fight, then back to the grind for like 4 hours, then back to fighting for six. Like it weirdly enough, like I feel like that's what like my life is like. Like I would just like I'll grind for days on end. Then like some shit will go down online. I have to like smoke somebody or like beef with somebody, and then it's back to the grind, just like cooking up and shit. And like it genuinely feels like the better you get at producing your rapping, it's like learning like new ninjutsus and like new fucking moves and shit. Like every rapper, like once they can start like rapping on like any BPM beat, that's like learning like the Rasengan. And if you're a producer and like you start learning just like how to like create and like really like warp your samples on like yourself, that's like your Rasengan right there. Like it's just like a total parallel that I really enjoy.
It speaks to him. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, because that show's like really just about the grind. So like as like, and that's what my life is. So I enjoy that. I just like will say it's my favorite show because I can like relate to it. Even though I actually find the fact that show's only about the grind to be kind of annoying when like it goes for like literally like you've been watching like 8 episodes straight and nothing's happened. It's just been like Naruto like learning one move.
Right.
Like that shit does annoy me. And I don't. I'm not the biggest anime fan in general because like, I do find a lot of anime like does just draw on. But I like a few shows that I do really love, and Naruto like even if that show does draw on a lot,
Mm-hmm.
I still like in my heart love that show because I can just like relate to it so much.
Okay. You have okay. If you had $1 million, what would you do with it?
So I would use a part of that to like just get a very like nice, good studio that I can record and make beats at, and just like have homies over.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably like save like maybe if you have like $1 million, I would save I would save maybe like 200K, just put it away like just in case I like need that at some point. Then like 500K towards the studio, and the rest of it I would just like either use to invest in like stocks or like invest in like businesses I'd want to start. Like I'm not gonna say any of these right now because someone will steal it, but like I have lots of like ideas for just like different like businesses I want to possibly do in the future.
Dude, yeah, that's lit.
And yeah, if I came across $1 million, like it's in that one time 2 Chainz said where he's talking about like when you are like a recording artist and you are on like a record label and you get a hit song, like say you get like a $20 million check from some top 40 hit you got. When you get that check, instead of like celebrating and getting like really hyped and just like laying back,
Mm.
he calls it the hourglass. Like basically when you get a hit song, like the hourglass is just flipped, but like you now have a limited amount of time before like your powder runs out again, so you have to like flip it back again to keep your shit going. So when you get a hit song, that's the moment you actually have to like get the most like in your grind,
Right.
instead of like blowing all that money on like hookers and blow and shit. Like you put all that money towards like promoting your song, making new music, getting that next hit out, because it's like as an artist, your lifespan is never like really set in stone. Like there's like a lot of artists like that will come out. I'll use like Lil Xan as an example, and what I'm about to say like did end up becoming true for him. And like people like Lil Xan will come out and people will be like, oh, he's only gonna be like famous for a year. And for Lil Xan, yeah, he only was famous for a year. But then you also have like other artists who like might appear people like really hate at first, but then they just know the moves to make and they can like really extend their career. And like this isn't how Kanye West was at the beginning, but like to mention him again, he's somebody who like multiple times throughout his career has done things that would have killed other artists, but he just like knew what moves to make and how to spend his money and like who to get involved into his situations, where he's had like one of the longest spanning careers in the genre now, because rather than just be the rapper who gets all the blinged out shit, he just like invested it and made a record label and got a bunch of partners and just did shit. So like I think if I were to just like make $1 million right off the bat, I want to follow the 2 Chainz Kanye West logic and just like invest that right back into the industry, get more shit rolling.
Interesting. All right, all right. Well, like I said, we gone over the 1 hour mark. I'm trying to keep the interviews around that because it's hell to edit 2, 3.
No, I feel you. I definitely feel you.
But I will.
You have to cut me off at some point because I'm having a lot of fun. So you should cut it off because I will just be here all night telling you about like what's my favorite fucking car model or whatever.
No, trust me. Like when I do interviews, like I'm going to interview again, okay? Like because I love to interview artists and then like watch them grow and then come back and interview them.
Yeah,
You can
easily.
do a part two really any other time, but I would love to do it. A little more in your career when you've blown up, especially if you go mainstream. Don't forget me.
Oh, I got you, bro.
But
Ah,
yeah,
this has been
man.
great.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Anything like you wanna
Yeah, I
say
think
before
like
we?
I just like would want to like just shout out people. Like I've
Yeah,
like just
anything.
I would like to thank like any artists that have given me money for my beats. Like anybody who's helped me like get by and just like make a living off this. Like shout out to you. Shout out to anybody that I work with. I'm not gonna sit here and list all of them. Like you all know who you are.
Hmm.
And then shout out the fans. Like anybody who just like can set it up where I can get to sit here and be in an interview. Like shout out like you. Y'all are the ones who make this shit happen. And I guess the last thing I want to say besides that is don't smoke mooks. That shit will make you want to yak. Don't smoke chops. Like that's about it.
You heard it here first
I
from
think
Wendigo.
I think all the important shit's been covered.
Lit. Okay, man. Well, lit. Like I said, I cannot wait to do this again. Keep in contact. Anything that you need, like anything that you want to do it again. I can review any tracks that you worked on. Anything. You can come back. We'll do podcasts. I need to do another podcast soon, and
Yeah,
I'd love to have you
100%. I'm
on.
with it.
Lit,
I'm
man.
absolutely with it.
Lit. But yeah,
All right,
so
my man.
all right, I'll have your stuff in the description. By the way, send me anything, any like extra. I have your regular like SoundCloud or whatever you have, Instagram. But any
Yeah,
extra information, send it to me DM or here. And yeah,
yeah, I got you on that.
dope, man. So much love, man. I appreciate it. Stay in contact.
But yeah, much love, bro. This was very fun.
All
Do this
right,
again at some point, 100%.
of course, man. Of course, much love. I'll hit up Darky too, by the way.
Yeah, he's gonna want to. Like, I have no doubt that. Yeah, yeah. Let me
Dope,
do that.
dope.
Like I said, this man will fiend. Like he'll just hear songs and start. Like he'll just start hitting people up. Like, give me a verse, give me a verse, give me a verse. Like, interviews like even more lit.
That's dope, man.
He's for sure with it.
Big dope, man. All right, well, much love, man. Much love.
Yeah,
Take it easy,
appreciate it.
Darky.
Thanks for letting me do this.
Of
You
course,
have
man.
like a good rest of your night and a good rest of however many nights till I talk to you again.
Well,
All
which should be soon. Which should be soon. The same to you, brother.
right, bro. Take care.
One love, man.
One love. Take care.
You too.